Shelby, I can see you eager to respond.
I mean, I don't know who's listening, but I have been pretty public about it, and I think I'm transparent in it, that I do have some issues with the name of our organization in 2021.
Inner City Arts.
Yes, Inner City Arts is not a name that sits well with me, and I completely acknowledge that when we were named, when it was about location, that was a word that was used, but I think it's such a loaded word. It's a coded word, and I'm trying to step away from, I guess in my own soapbox moment, I really do want to let's not use those so many codes, right? Whether it's in education, social issues, racism is racism. Systemic racism is racism. You can call it what you want, where you want, but it's basically we all find these different codes to talk about things politely so we don't hurt people's feelings.
So you're saying that however well-intentioned the founding of Inner City Arts was and the naming of it, that still, nonetheless, its name implies, or
the name, yes, I think the name implies both, it implies people of color and poverty, right? It's a certain status. To our point, I don't think it also explains the breadth and the amazing work that is happening in the organization. So even from that standpoint, if you said Inner City Arts and you are not in the LA art scene, you might not know what that organization is. And I want a name that says what we do. I don't know that. And I do not have that name in my back pocket.
You can send us some options. We've got a little.
Feel free to.
By the end of the evening, we'll get the name changed.
So these are, so that's something that I'm very open with our board of directors, and they've heard me, and we're gonna go down this road or kind of figure it out. That's all I really can say. So it's nice that. I told them, and they didn't fire me.
No, it's interesting because changing names or building new buildings is often something that new directors do. And as someone who stands on the outside watching, sometimes you wonder, why did they go through this name-changing process? Their names seemed to be fine. Or why did they build this new building? It seemed to be fine. But what you've just outlined is a very interesting unpacking of what might be problematic about that name. It'd be interesting to see where you go with that. Jia, is there anything that you have yet wanted to do that you've got a big hard no?
So much. I really want a new website, but I probably shouldn't say, I think most of the people who didn't agree with me left.
And people left, and what was it they didn't agree with you about?
I think the openness of criticism that I was willing to put forward in my leadership. I don't want to talk about them. I think that I am not working against a specific body or board or governance structure or even a funding model. I'm working against a perception of Schindler House, modern architecture, MAK Center, and its connotations of preciousness, lifestyle, luxury. We have, when you talk about modern architecture in Los Angeles, it comes with all kinds of baggage around class, access, property ownership, whiteness. And so the thing I would like to really actively change is that when we use the word architecture, we're not talking about a commodity good that people of wealth can access, but that it's a form of knowledge. It's something that everybody in Los Angeles is accessing on a daily basis, and that we need to broaden the definitions of what architecture is as a process and an idea, and that we all need to engage in that dialogue, and we need to build the institutions to make those dialogues accessible, and we don't. LA has no curatorial department in architecture in any major museum, except the Getty, and it's in the Research Institute. MAK Center is maybe one of 3 organizations working with the mission of advancing public conversations in architecture. And we've recently seen the A+D Museum go online, So I have this like deep, deep, deep investment in making sure architecture is still part of a public conversation and it's not just a conversation for property owners.
Right. Well, of course, the Schindler House is a great example of the opposite, in as much as Schindler was, as you already said earlier, was himself a socialist. I mean, his wife, whom he split up with, and then they had to split up the building so she could live in the other half, she used to call him comrade.
Yeah.
You know, they definitely saw themselves as on a mission to bring architecture to
and
the
when
masses.
Schindler practiced, he was accessible to middle income, lower income families, which most architects are not accessible to anymore, right? So I think those are big open questions that I would love to see people talking about.
Well, for sure, for sure. Cameron, is there anything that you have wanted to do at CALM that you've been pushed back on?
No.
Oh, cool.
I'm questioned, and I have an opportunity to clarify my perspective and reflect. But no, I haven't met significant pushback. I think there's something, though, here in your question that is of interest to me, which is this idea that I think to be a leader in these times is to hold a particular type of paradox, which is I am tasked with upholding elements of bureaucracy, like I said, that come with stewarding taxpayer dollars. I'm also working towards a future that includes the liberation and healing of Black people through my institution, right? And one could say one of the perpetuators of the systemic violence that has prevented that is the state system, not just the state of California, but the systems of government and the intertwined systems that do that. And so I think to do the work that I do is to hold that paradox. And I don't know that it looks the same for each of us, but I imagine each of us are trying to hold something like that. You know, wanting to change a system, wanting to destroy a system, and also wanting to uphold it and keep the aspects of it that do work for people, that are human-centered, that do protect people, that do provide stability. So, you know, I think that's something that I navigate in the work every day. So no, there's not a human that I could say is pushing back on me, but I am navigating the complexities of this. And I think when I talk to other leaders in the arts and cultural space or across industries, I'm hearing a lot of people holding that paradox, and I think that's a critical aspect of productive leadership in this time.